You have just 15 minutes to leave the home.
What? You can't do that! Let's all just calm down. This is insane!
You know that feeling when someone knocks on your door and you instantly know your day is about to get ruined? Yeah, that was me last Tuesday at 3 p.m. I'm standing in my kitchen, making a sandwich, when I hear this aggressive pounding on my front door. Not a polite knock, not a friendly tap, tap, tap. This was the kind of knock that says, I'm important and you need to deal with me right now. I open the door, and there she is, Karen, president of our HOA. She's got that look on her face. You know the one. The I'm about to make your life miserable, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it look. She's clutching her little clipboard like it's the Holy Grail, wearing her power suit, even though it's literally the middle of a Tuesday afternoon. And she's got this smile that doesn't reach her eyes. That corporate smile. That, I'm being professional, but I actually hate you smile. Can I help you? I ask, already knowing this isn't going to be good. Yes, she says, not even bothering with a hello. I'm here to inform you that you have 15 minutes to vacate the premises. I literally laughed, like out loud, because what else do you do when someone says something that absolutely insane? I'm standing there with mayo on my fingers, half a sandwich behind me on the counter, and this woman is telling me I have 15 minutes to get out of my own house. The house I've owned for 3 years. The house I'm still paying a mortgage on. My house. I'm sorry, what? I say, because surely I misheard her. She doesn't repeat herself. Instead, she just taps her clipboard with her perfectly manicured nail and says, 15 minutes. You're in violation of HOA Code Section 47B, subsection 12, and the board has voted to take immediate action. You need to remove yourself from the property within 15 minutes or will be forced to call the authorities. Now, I've dealt with HOA nonsense before. We all have, right? The passive-aggressive notes about your trash cans being visible from the street. The complaint about your grass being half an inch too tall. The endless emails about what color you're allowed to paint your mailbox. But this was a whole new level of crazy. Karen, I say, trying to stay calm, I have no idea what you're talking about. What violation? What code? She sighs, like I'm the one being unreasonable here. Your property has been deemed unsafe and uninhabitable due to numerous violations that you've failed to address despite multiple warnings. What warnings? I haven't received any warnings. That's not my problem, she says, and I swear to God, she actually smiled when she said it. The warnings were sent. If you didn't receive them, that's your failure to maintain proper communication channels with the HOA. Regardless, the deadline for compliance has passed, and the board has authorized immediate eviction proceedings. I just stared at her, because here's the thing about HOAs that most people don't realize until it's too late. They think they have way more power than they actually do. Like, legally speaking, an HOA cannot just evict you from your own home. They can fine you. They can put a lien on your property if you don't pay those fines. They can make your life annoying. But they absolutely cannot show up at your door and demand you leave your own house in 15 minutes. That's not how property law works. That's not how any of this works. But Karen? Karen didn't seem to know that. Or maybe she did know it and just didn't care because she was so drunk on her tiny amount of power that she thought she could get away with it. Karen, I say, you can't evict me from my own home. That's not legally possible. The HOA board has full authority to enforce all codes and regulations, she says, like she's reading from script. And we've determined that your property is in such severe violation that immediate action is required. What violation? I ask again. Tell me specifically what I've supposedly done wrong. She flips through her clipboard, takes her sweet time about it too. Finally, she looks up at me and says, unauthorized exterior modifications, improper landscaping, unapproved paint colors, excessive noise disturbances, and failure to maintain property standards. I'm going to break this down for you because every single thing she just listed was complete garbage. Unauthorized exterior modifications. I hadn't changed anything on the exterior of my house since I moved in. Improper landscaping? My yard looked fine. Better than fine, actually. I just had it professionally landscaped 2 months ago. Unapproved paint colors? My house was the same color it had been when I bought it, and it was literally the most boring beige you could possibly imagine. Excessive noise disturbances? I work from home. I'm literally the quietest neighbor on the block. And failure to maintain property standards? My property was immaculate. I'm borderline obsessive about keeping everything clean and tidy. So either Karen was completely delusional or this was something else entirely. And given the way she was looking at me, I was starting to think it was something else. None of that is true, I say. My property is in perfect condition and you know it. That's your opinion, she says. The board disagrees. Then I want to see the documentation. Show me the photos. Show me the violation notices. Show me the board meeting minutes where this was supposedly discussed and voted on. She clutches her clipboard tighter. That information is confidential board business. No, it's not. HOA proceedings are supposed to be transparent. Homeowners have a right to see the documentation related to any actions taken against their property. She didn't like that. I could see her jaw tighten. Her smile got even faker, if that was possible. Regardless of your opinion on the matter, she says, and her voice has gone all cold now. You have. She checks her watch. 12 minutes now to vacate the premises. I suggest you start packing. And that's when I knew. This wasn't about violations. This wasn't about codes or regulations or property standards. This was personal. This was Karen flexing whatever muscle she thought she had because she was mad at me about something and she decided to abuse her position as HOA president to try to intimidate me. See, here's what you need to understand about HOA Karens. They don't actually care about the rules. They care about power. They care about control. They care about being able to tell other people what to do and having those people bow down and comply. And when someone doesn't bow down, when someone has the audacity to question them or push back or, God forbid, actually know their own rights, that's when they lose their minds. But I wasn't going to bow down. Not to her. Not to anyone. This was my house. My property. And no jumped-up HOA president with a clipboard and a bad attitude was going to bully me out of it. I'm not leaving, I say very calmly. This is my home, and you have no legal authority to make me leave. So unless you have an actual court order signed by an actual judge, I suggest you get off my property. Oh, she did not like that. Karen's face went from fake smile professional to full-on red-faced rage in about 2 seconds flat. And let me tell you, it was quite a transformation. Her nostrils flared, her eyes got all wide, and she actually took a step toward me like she was about to physically push me out of my own doorway. How dare you speak to me that way? She hisses. I am the president of this HOA, and you will show me respect. Now, I'm a pretty patient person. I really am. I don't like conflict. I don't go looking for fights. But there's something about someone demanding respect while actively disrespecting you that just flips a switch in my brain. You want respect? Earn it. Don't demand it while you're literally trying to illegally evict someone from their own home. Respect is earned, Karen, I say. And right now, you're standing on my porch, making false accusations, and trying to intimidate me into leaving my own house based on violations that don't exist. So no, I'm not going to respect that. I'm going to ask you one more time to leave my property. She laughed. Actually laughed. This high-pitched, slightly unhinged laugh that made me genuinely concerned about her mental state. Oh, you think you're so smart, she says. You think you know everything. Well, let me tell you something. I've been president of this HOA for 6 years. 6 years. And in that time, I've dealt with plenty of troublemakers like you who think they can just ignore the rules and do whatever they want. And you know what? Every single one of them eventually learned that I don't lose. I don't lose. And there it was. The real Karen. Not the fake professional clipboard-carrying HOA president. The real person underneath. Someone so obsessed with winning, so addicted to power and control, that she'd literally lost sight of reality. This isn't about winning or losing, I say. This is about you abusing your position and violating my rights as a homeowner. Now, please leave. 9 minutes, she says, checking her watch again. You have 9 minutes. I pulled out my phone, started recording, because I've learned that when you're dealing with crazy, you document everything. What are you doing? She snaps. I'm recording this conversation, I say, for my own protection. Since you're making threats and false accusations, I want to have a record of exactly what's being said. Oh, she hated that. I could see the panic flash across her face. Because people like Karen, they're perfectly fine being bullies when they think no one's watching. But the second you pull out a camera, suddenly they realize that their behavior might actually have consequences. You can't record me without my permission, she says. Actually, I can. This is my property, and this is a one-party consent state. I have every legal right to record conversations that I'm a part of, especially when those conversations are taking place on my own property. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. She looked like a fish gasping for air. And then she did something that I absolutely did not expect. She pulled out her own phone and called someone. Yes, hello. I need police assistance immediately, she says into the phone. I'm at 437 Maple Street, and there's a hostile homeowner who's refusing to comply with a lawful eviction notice and is now threatening me. I couldn't believe it. She was actually calling the cops on me for refusing to leave my own house based on a completely fabricated eviction notice. The audacity was genuinely impressive. Ma'am, I call out loud enough for the 911 operator to hear. I am not threatening anyone. I'm standing peacefully in my own doorway. This woman is the HOA president, and she's attempting to illegally evict me from my own home without any legal authority to do so. Karen glared at me, but continued talking to the operator. Yes, he's being very aggressive, and I feel unsafe. Please send someone immediately. She hung up and smiled at me. That same fake smile from before. The police are on their way. We'll see what they have to say about your attitude. Now, here's where I need to pause and tell you something important. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this, where someone is abusing their authority or making false accusations, do not panic. Stay calm. Know your rights. And most importantly, document everything. Film everything. Because the truth is your best defense. I wasn't worried about the cops showing up. I hadn't done anything wrong. I was standing in my own house on my own property, and I had every right to be there. Karen, on the other hand, was the one who was going to have some explaining to do. While we waited, she just stood there on my porch, arms crossed, occasionally checking her watch and making little huffing noises like she was the most put-upon person in the world. I kept filming, kept my phone pointed right at her, and every time she looked at the camera, I could see her getting more and more uncomfortable. You know what your problem is? She finally says. You think you're better than everyone else. You think the rules don't apply to you. You moved into this neighborhood, and you've done nothing but cause problems since day one. What problems? I ask. Seriously, Karen, what have I done that's caused problems? I keep to myself. I maintain my property. I don't bother anyone. So please enlighten me. What exactly have I done that's so terrible? She didn't answer, just pursed her lips and looked away. And that's when I realized what this was really about. This wasn't about violations or codes or property standards. This was about something personal, something I'd done, or maybe something I hadn't done, that had offended Karen or made her feel slighted, and now she was using her position to retaliate. Is this about the block party? I asked. Her head snapped back toward me. Bingo. I don't know what you're talking about, she says, but her voice had gone all tight. The block party last month. You invited everyone to your house, and I didn't go. Is that what this is about? See, about a month ago, Karen had organized this big block party at her house, sent out invitations to everyone in the neighborhood, made this huge deal about it. And I didn't go, not because I was trying to be rude or antisocial. I just had other plans that day. I had a family commitment. I sent her a polite text declining the invitation and explaining why I couldn't make it. Apparently, that was an unforgivable offense. This has nothing to do with the party, she says, but I could tell I'd hit a nerve. Really? Because your timeline seems suspicious. I declined your party invitation 4 weeks ago. And suddenly, 3 weeks ago, I start getting all these emails about alleged violations that don't actually exist. Violations that you claim you've been warning me about for months, but somehow the first notice just happens to come right after I don't show up to your party. She didn't respond, just stood there looking angrier and angrier. And then I continue when I responded to those emails asking for clarification and pointing out that my property was in full compliance with all HOA rules. Suddenly the email stopped. No response from you or the board. Radio silence. Until today, when you show up at my door demanding I leave my own house in 15 minutes. So yeah, Karen, this feels pretty personal. You're paranoid, she spits out. Am I? Or are you just abusing your position because I hurt your feelings by not attending your party? Before she could answer, I heard sirens in the distance. The cops were almost here, and honestly, I was kind of looking forward to it, because I knew that once the police showed up and heard what was actually going on, Karen was going to be the one in trouble. Not me. 2 police cruisers screamed up to my curb, lights flashing. 4 officers jumped out. Karen immediately transformed into a damsel in distress, practically sprinting toward them. Officers, thank God, she gasped, hand clutching her chest. This man has been verbally abusing me. He's refusing a lawful eviction, and I genuinely fear for my safety. I stayed in my doorway, phone still recording. An older officer with gray hair and a weathered face approached me while his partners dealt with Karen. Sir, what's going on here? Officer, I'm David Martinez. I've owned this home for 3 years. 20 minutes ago, this woman, the HOA president, showed up demanding I vacate in 15 minutes. She claims violations but won't provide documentation. When I refused to leave my home, she called 911 claiming I threatened her. I've been recording everything. As you can see, I've been standing peacefully in my doorway. Mind if I see that recording? I handed him my phone. He watched poker-faced, but his eyebrow twitched twice. Good sign. Meanwhile, Karen was gesticulating wildly to the other officers, pointing at me, spinning her victim story. But the cops had that look, the we've heard this before look. The gray-haired officer returned my phone. Mr. Martinez, you own this property? Yes, sir. I can show documentation if needed. Won't be necessary. He turned toward Karen. Ma'am, your name? Karen Whitmore, HOA president. I'm here in my official capacity. He walked over to her. Ms. Whitmore, show me the legal eviction order. I don't need one, she said, like it was obvious. The HOA board has full authority. Ma'am, I need a court-ordered eviction notice. An HOA cannot unilaterally evict a homeowner without proper legal channels. But he's in violation. Ma'am, his tone got firmer. Do you have a court order or not? Silence. Her face turned red. No, but the bylaws clearly. The bylaws don't override property law. You cannot demand someone leave their home without a court order. Period. Karen sputtered. But I'm the HOA president. I have authority within the scope of bylaws and state law, not to illegally evict people. If there are violations, follow proper procedures. Written notices. Time to respond. Fines if necessary. But you cannot do what you did today. A younger officer approached me. Has she been harassing you beyond today? Yeah. Weeks of violation emails. When I ask for clarification, she ignores me. Then today, she just shows up demanding I leave. Still have those emails? Every single one. The officers huddled. Karen stood aside, arms crossed, looking like she'd bitten a lemon. The gray-haired officer returned. Mr. Martinez, file a complaint with your HOA. Document everything. If harassment continues, consider a restraining order. A restraining order? Karen shrieked. I'm the victim. The officer turned to her. Ma'am, you made a false 911 call. I've seen video proof. You attempted illegal eviction. You've been engaging in harassment. I'm not arresting you today, but leave this property immediately and cease all contact outside proper HOA channels. This is ridiculous. I was doing my job. Your job doesn't include false police reports or illegal evictions. Continue this behavior and face charges. Understand. She glared at us. Fine. I understand. Good. Leave the property. Karen shot me one final look of pure hatred, then stormed her car and peeled out like Fast and Furious. Before leaving, the officer pulled me aside. Between you and me, we get calls about her regularly. She's got a pattern. Most people give in. Good for you standing your ground. Anyone filed charges? Not yet, but document everything. Talk to other board members. If she's abusing her position, they need to know. The officers left. I went inside and stood there processing. My sandwich was still on the counter, mayo warm. I wasn't scared. I was mad. Karen gets away with this because people don't push back. Not me. Not today. Not ever. But I knew this wasn't over. People like Karen escalate, double down, find new ways to make your life miserable. So I needed a plan, not just to protect me, but to protect everyone else she'd bullied. Time to go on the offensive. Next morning, I woke with a mission. Word is, Karen, but I'd fight smart. First, the HOA bylaws. I pulled out my forgotten copy and actually read it. Boring as hell, but I found gold. The president has almost no unilateral power. Everything requires board votes. Homeowners get written notice, 30 days to respond, right to appeal, none of which happened to me. Better yet, a code of ethics for board members. Acting in community interest, avoiding conflicts, treating everyone fairly, no retaliation. Karen violated every single one. Next, my emails. I organized everything chronologically, highlighted false claims, noted ignored questions, created a complete dossier. Then I talked to neighbors. Door-to-door, casual conversations about HOA issues. Gold mine. Patricia, my elderly neighbor, nearly cried. Karen harassed her for months about her beautiful garden, calling her flowers non-approved species. Patricia was so stressed she'd pulled up her own flowers. A young couple? Karen threatened fines for having their garage open. They used it as a workshop. They stopped using their own garage. Marcus, a retired veteran? Karen tried, making him take down his American flag. Too large, she said. Everyone had stories. Years of harassment. Thousands in bogus fines. Some considered selling and moving. All terrified to push back. But once they realized they weren't alone, they were ready to help. I organized a meeting at my house. 15 people showed up with documented evidence. We compared notes and realized Karen ran the HOA like a dictatorship, isolating everyone so they thought they were alone. Classic bully tactics. Together, we were a force. I showed them the bylaws. 20% of homeowners can petition for removal. Our neighborhood has 82 homes. We needed 17 signatures. We had 15 people right there. Let's do it, Patricia said. We drafted a professional petition, listed ethics violations, attached documentation. Within 3 days, 34 signatures. I submitted it to the board. I'd researched them too. Tom, the vice president, told me off record he'd been concerned about Karen, but didn't know what to do. Linda, the treasurer, tried resigning for months. Karen kept stopping her. The financials were a mess. When that petition hit their inboxes with 30 pages of evidence, they saw their escape. Emergency meeting called. Karen tried scheduling it Tuesday afternoon when people work. Tom insisted Saturday morning. The clubhouse was packed. Standing room only. People on floors. In hallways. Karen sat at the front table, looking furious, whispering, pointing at the crowd. Tom ran the meeting. Read the petition. Gave Karen a chance to respond. She went on a 10-minute rant. Years of service. Maintaining property values. Vindictive attack. Never addressing the actual allegations. Pure deflection. Then others spoke. Patricia. The couple. Marcus. Dozens more. Story after story. Karen got redder and redder, trying to interrupt. Tom shut her down every time. Time to vote. Tom, yes. Linda, yes. Secretary, yes. Member at large, yes. 4-0. Then homeowner confirmation vote. Unanimous. Every single hand up. Done. Removed. Banned from HOA positions for 3 years. Karen grabbed her things and stormed out. Before leaving, she turned and glared at me. I smiled and waved. Next day, Tom emailed. All my violations expunged. Formal apology. Same for everyone Karen targeted. 3 months later, new leadership, new procedures, transparency, accountability, a homeowner advisory committee. And Karen? I see her sometimes driving through. She won't make eye contact. Here's the thing. Bullies only have the power we give them. When you stand up, organize, and hold them accountable using their own systems, they crumble. Was it easy? No. Stressful? Absolutely. Time-consuming? You bet. But worth it, because now I make my sandwich in peace. And that feeling? Priceless. So if you're dealing with your own HOA, Karen, document everything. Know your rights. Find allies. Don't back down. Karens only win when good people do nothing. Stand up. Fight back. Reclaim your peace.